Now, inspectors say services at Stafford Hospital are safe but would be unsustainable if they're put under extra strain during the winter. A report by the Care Quality Commission found staffing levels at the hospital are adequate but only just. It also says last year's public inquiry, which found hundreds of patients died needlessly at the hospital between 2005 and 2009, was hampering efforts to recruit staff.
So what we found was they were spending twice as much as any other trust on agency staff, on temporary staff and on bank staff. That gives them both a continuity challenge of having the same staff coming on the same shift, but also that shared learning across the organisation of if things change, if things are different, have that shared.
More than 200 Hereford United fans held a peaceful protest last night over the way their club is being run. It was held at the Conference Premier match between Kidderminster Harriers and Welling United. Hereford supporters were allowed inside the away stand at the stadium. The club was expelled from the Football Conference in June for failing to pay its debts. The Supporters Trust says the protest was held for a number of reasons, including unpaid wages to former employees.
Now for some good news on the jobs front. Almost two-thirds of factories in the West Midlands say they're expecting to recruit more workers, according to researchers.
Well, that's considerably better than the national average. A new survey is optimistic about future growth, as Keith Wilkinson reports.
There was a time when old skills like these looked set to be dead and buried. Factory after factory in the West Midlands went to the wall. But now, or so it seems, things are looking up for some. A survey by the Manufacturing Advisory Service reveals 65% of smaller industries in the region are expecting to recruit more staff. Even more, 76% expect to see growth.
Some sectors in manufacturing are doing well, some are not. Fortunately, the areas that are doing extremely well is automotive. There's been unprecedented investment in automotive over the last year or so, which is going to lead to benefits all down the supply chain, which is heavily represented across the Midlands. Other areas such as aerospace and low carbon are also areas that are buoyant, where we have strong representation.
This company, Conveyor Units at Stourport in Worcestershire, is among the firms enjoying growth in manufacturing.
In the last 12 months we've had 45% growth alone, resulting in a considerable increase in our workforce, both for apprentices and at the skilled management end.
It's not all good news, however. Once Britain was bursting with skilled factory workers, now there's not enough to meet demand.
Interestingly, 83% of employers are reporting that their biggest barrier to growth at the moment is skills. So that investment that we're seeing in getting young people into manufacturing and engineering, which seems very positive, and we're seeing the tide changing in terms of people seeing manufacturing and engineering as something that offers a sustainable career.
There have been warnings this week of a possible slowdown in economic growth in the Eurozone and even globally. But for the moment, there are signs of optimism, provided they can find the people with the right skills. Keith Wilkinson, ITV News.
Now, the last of 70 sacks of earth collected from First World War cemeteries has arrived in the United Kingdom to form part of a new memorial garden in honour of the thousands of soldiers who were killed.
Organisers say it symbolises bringing our heroes home. Here's Mike Pearce.
A very special memorial to the hundreds of thousands who gave their lives in World War I. This is the last of 70 sacks of earth gathered from the main battlefield cemeteries and will form part of a national memorial garden in London. It arrived from Belgium today on Queen Mary 2. The project has involved many schools, among them this teacher and daughter who lost 3 relatives in the conflict, with 2 more badly hurt.
It's so symbolic of all the people who died on the battlefields and didn't manage to come home. This soil represents nearly 1 million men who didn't come home.
More than 1,000 children, including many from our region, were given special permission to come here to Belgium to excavate the soil. It's the first time it's ever been allowed. There were simply too many bodies to repatriate, and 100,000 were never identified. The soil is a symbolic move to bring them home, and is the one and only time it will be removed out of respect. The final sack was handed over at a ceremony at Ypres in Belgium, at the heart of the conflict.
There are a lot of commemoration projects, but this one is very special because it gathers soil coming from the cemeteries where we still today honor and remember all those men who fought here for our freedom.
This pond at the Guards Museum in central London has been transformed into the new memorial. The earth has been arriving over the last year and placed in a remembrance garden in a project backed by the museum and the British and Belgian authorities.
Not everyone can go over to Flanders, and it's almost a reversal of that famous poem, there is a corner of a foreign field that is forever England. Well, here's a piece of England that is forever Flanders now. So, yeah, it's important.
And the memorial will be opened by the Queen next month. Mike Pearce, ITV News.
A very fitting tribute, I think. Now, we've got some amazing pictures to show you next. A garage technician in Kings Heath had a lucky escape. Have a look at this. When a wheel that had sheared off a car came hurtling down the road before hitting another car on the Sales forecourt. And there's the guy.
Now, the images are taken from security cameras at the garage and does show a blue car parked on the forecourt close to the technician rock, and that's on the force as it was hit. No one, thankfully, was injured, and the driver of the Range Rover, minus one front wheel, was also OK, if somewhat lopsided.
I like the way the guy looks. It takes a sort of a double take, and then are there any more wheels coming? Is that it? It's all finished?
It's a bit random, isn't it?
Everyone was fine. It's all
yes,
good.
Thank goodness.
Yes, thank goodness. Now, a look at the weather forecast as we approach the weekend. With all the details, here's Janelle.
Hello, it hasn't been the most pleasant of days to talk about weather-wise, but what I do enjoy talking about is your photos. A gorgeous sunrise down at the fisheries in Broadheath. Thank you very much, Paul, for this photo. But today has been a rather wet day, as I mentioned. We can see from this radar picture earlier, all that rain came from the west, pushed its way eastwards, and most of us got a very good soaking, especially if you were out and about. But overnight tonight, those showers are easing, and as well as that, the brisk southwesterly wind we had today, that's dying down too, leaving us with a dry and a cool night. We're looking at lows of around 6 Celsius. It could be a touch lower in more rural spots. But clear skies overnight means there's no cloud around tomorrow morning, so plenty of sunny and bright spells to start the day, but it will still feel fairly cool by the afternoon. Like this afternoon, a bit of a breakdown in the weather. We're seeing those scattered showers pushing their way in, holding on to that risk of thunder too. We're looking at a diverse high, anything from 12 to 17 Celsius. That's quite a range. It's a wet weekend to come, but for this evening, things are drying up and the wind is dying down.
Now, the time is coming up to 6:15. Sadly, though, that is it from us for tonight, because we have a shorter programme because of England's match against San Marino. Now, that's up on ITV at 7:15. In the meantime, though, we can give you a quick recap of our headlines tonight. A family from the Black Country say their 16-month-old daughter, Lily Taylor, is lucky to be alive after falling from an upstairs bedroom window in Tipton. Council workmen have been carrying out repairs.
A 95-year-old man has been summoned to Birmingham Magistrates Court to face 32 charges of child sex offences dating back 60 years.
And on our website, a lovely story about an RAF flypast for the funeral of D-Day veteran Dennis Price. He had no surviving relatives and his regiment appealed for mourners to attend. ITV.com/central for more.
That is it from us for now, though. We'll see you tomorrow. Until then, goodbye.
Bye-bye.